So yesterday we finished the arrays and basic functions that array provides us, like reverse, splice, push, pop, shift, unshift, flat, merge, to concat arrays, etc. Obviously, they are not too hard, and you are familiar with the arrays, how to get elements, how to update them, and then you see that the biggest difference between a compiled language array and JavaScript array is that the JavaScript array is resizable, and you can always add and remove elements. So that was the biggest difference. And with that, you are able to do a lot of manipulation. So that's why JavaScript doesn't provide too much collections like other languages. Just array does pretty much everything. And towards the end of the class, we start slowly with functions. Today, we will go more in depth. And then after that, obviously, in any language, objects are very important, especially JavaScript. It's good that you are familiar with JSON. So JSON object, it means actually JavaScript object. So you're pretty familiar with it, but we will cover more methods of objects, how to create object, how to update properties, etc. You will see, and this will help you honestly from now on understand your API request and responses even better. With that, in any language, guys, you can create functions, which is known as methods as well, or behaviors of the class as well. So you can create once and use many times. It increases the reusability. Functions can take arguments or parameters called, or they could be zero arg as well, which is not taking any argument. So for example, this is a syntax. You can, in JavaScript, just say function. It's enough to create a function. You don't need to specify if it is void or return type. Then you give a name, you have your parenthesis and then curly braces, and then your code block. So for example, if you want to write a function that just says hi, you can say function say hi, and then in the block, just say console log hi. And anytime you call this function, it will say hi to you. And function components in JavaScript are pretty simple. You have a name, you have a body, which is in the curly braces. You have arguments or parameters that you can call, pass into parentheses. And if you would like to return something from the function, you can use the return keyword. So 4 simple components. So function can take multiple arguments, 2 arguments, 0 argument, 10 arguments. So one thing here I want you to realize, since JavaScript is not statically typed, you don't need to mention which data type are these arguments. So you just say A and B, but A and B can be anything and everything. It could be numbered, it could be double, it could be string. And here you return an A plus B. So just check this. Sum, when you give 3 and 5, it gives you 8. When you give floating numbers, it still works. It thinks that these are numbers. I should do sum. But when you give 2 strings, it does concatenation, because this A and B, when they are string, this function will return a concatenated 2 arguments, which are string, which is not surprising, right? So in some cases like this, JavaScript could be confusing, and you may miss the compiled languages, because any compiled language will not allow you to do this, right? You need to be strict. You should say this is int and int, and this is has to be int and int. And if you try to give a string, it will give you a compiler error, and you won't be able to continue with the flow. But JavaScript allows you, and it tries to understand. If you put plus between 2 strings, well, it knows that this is concatenation. And I will just put them together, 4 and 6, for the 6. And from there is another way that you can create a function, which is known as function expression. So function expression is that you create an anonymous function with no name, and you put this in a variable. So your function could also be a variable at the same time. Like here, for example, if you look at this product, it's not like sum. This is a regular syntax that you create the function, and this is how you use it. But at the same time, look at this. You say either const or let product equals a function AB, and what it does, it multiplies A and B. So you find the product of two arguments and you assign it to a variable. Then you can use this variable with the parenthesis like a function. So this is in JavaScript known as function expression. And later, you can convert this to an arrow function. What it is? So arrow function is known as also lambda functions. It is providing us a short syntax, and we don't need to use function keyword, return keyword, and curly brackets most of the time, curly braces. And usually we prefer using const as it is safer and more proper compared to let, because once you create a function, you are not going to say my variable equals an integer now. It should always be equal to function itself. And you can skip the parenthesis if you have only one argument as well. I will show all of this. I know I don't expect you to understand from here right away, but look at this. You create the sum this way, and you can create it as a function expression here, sum equals function, taking AB, and then returning A and B. You can simplify this even more to a lambda expression like const sum equals AB, these are like your arguments, and then arrow function A plus B. This is returning it. And either of these functions will do sum. So let's see this. So I will create one more, 15 equals functions, let's say arrow.js. Okay. So yesterday you learned that if you want to create a function, let's create a function. Create a function that takes a string and returns the middle, or let's say returns the first character. I mean, you don't need this function, obviously, but it is fine. For example, if I give you hello, it should just return age. If I give you JavaScript, it should just give us J. Right? A simple function, very simple function. Our concern is not to create a complex function, but learn what is function expression and arrow function. So what would you do with the regular function? You will give first function keyword, and then you will give the name of the function. Let's say first char. And then what this does, it takes a string. I can call it str. And what I want to do with the str, return str0. str0 is the first character of the string. And if I were to just test this, I can console log hello. Actually, it should take this first char and then hello right here. And also, I would like to do JavaScript as well. If we run, we are expecting a H and J. So H and J are just here. So you see that this function is working, and what it does, it takes a string and returns the first character from the string. So there are different ways I can create this. So this is first way. Let's say one, regular function syntax. Similar to other languages as well. So two, you can create it as a function expression. And you can store your function in a variable. In this one, you don't use function keyword. You right away, or actually you don't give it a name. You use function. You say function, any name. It takes an argument str, and then it returns str0. But the question here, okay, you didn't give a name. How I am going to invoke this function? Can I invoke a function that doesn't have name? There is no way you can do this. This is known as anonymous function, not known function, basically. What I do, I consider this like a number, like a string, like any data, and I will store this in a variable. However, I was storing something in a variable, I either say let or const. Let's say const name equals John, right? So here, instead of John, I will simply put my function. So here, I will do const. Let's give our function a name or variable a name. Let's say first fchar stands for first char equals just this. Maybe if I bring this here, will be better. So I can create functions like this as well, just like the way I created a const name equals John. Here, const first char equals a function. Function in JavaScript is also considered to be object. That's why you are able to do this. Just like you say new date. If you are able to do this, date is an object, and you can do it's equal to a function as well. So this is function expression. If you were to check this one too, let's do fchar. It will also work. Let's run the whole thing. So we should see the result 2 times. J. Any question about function expression? I can delete this. You understand, I believe. So basically, you can store your function in a variable, and then you can call your variable with the parenthesis, and it will do the function job. Any question? Or you can put a thumbs up in the chat. You will see this a lot, especially when we do Cypress automation and next classes. I will be using this mostly. And there is one more step. The third way, I can even simplify this more. So third way is going to be arrow function, which is like in Java, if you studied Lambda expression a little bit, or maybe in .NET too, because in both I did a little bit of arrow function and functional programming or Lambda expression. They start using this later after JavaScript was so commonly using this. So what I can do here, I will simply do just like this. I will omit most of the things. Here from sum, you see, I will get rid of the function, first of all. I will just have my arguments, and then the arrow function, and then the return. I don't even need to use return keyword. So let's call this one a new name. So const, I will do first char once again. First char or first C. Let's read. I don't want to use the same variable name because it could create a variable convention issue. I am trying to find different names. First C equals, I will give my argument right here, which is str, and I will use my arrow right there. Or maybe you can forget this for now. So here, Control C, let's do this. First, I am creating, well, something taking str and doing returning str0. Actually, this is my function. So simple. Take str, give me str0 with the arrow function. Then to be able to invoke this again, what I need to do, I need to put it in a variable just like I did here. So that's why I do const first C equals this. So let's take this above the console logs and now use also our first C as the function. So this time we will see the results 3 times. And you see there is no difference as far as the result goes. All of them returns the same thing. So what are the differences and when the arrow function is used the most? I mean, mostly JavaScript programmers, they use all of them, honestly. For the complex things, they can use this. For the easier things, most of the time when there is 1 or 2 lines or more lines, some people just prefer use arrow function for everything. You can do that. If you have multiple lines though, I definitely recommend you to use curly braces. For now, we didn't use curly braces, we omit them, and we can use our return as well. It's up to you, you can do this for sure. But when there is one line, you can remove the curly braces, and you can also remove the return keyword in this case, okay? So either this or just this, it's up to you. Any question with the arrow function as well, or is it good?
But with the error function, it always should be assigned to the variables. Is it
Yes.
correct?
Yes,
Okay.
or you can call them as a callback function. So what is callback function? The next step from here. So callback functions, these are the functions called as an argument in another method, let's say in another function. So what does it mean? That means I need to have a function, let's call it like hello. This is a function. And inside this function, I am creating another, I am kind of using an arrow function or a function expression, like, for example, this. I can call a function as an argument into another function, or not this, but my arrow function. In this case, I don't need to store it in a variable because I just call it right away here. So this is a callback function. A few most known callback functions are coming from arrays. For example, let's give array for each callback function. So this for each is taking another function as an argument. So for example, I have an array, let's say const names. We did names a lot. Let's do numbers for being fast, 4. And what you can do with for each, like, is this. So numbers dot for each. You see, this for each is a method, and it is taking a callback function as an argument, right? Callback function. So what I do, numbers dot for each, I will do, for example, console log. Sorry, I should first say take an argument x, then console log x. So what is x here? If I were to tell you take an element and print it, right? If you were to take an element and print it, what would you do? You will do like function, and then it's take an element called x, and then it's logging this out, console log x. So what I'm doing here, let's say this is a function expression, const any name equals this. Okay, now it looks like there is a function, it takes an argument and just prints out the argument. So what I do here, I took x here, let's give the arguments, sorry, parenthesis, x, I can do function x as well. And remove this down and this. So look at this. What happens? I just put this function as an argument to here, isn't it? In the for each, basically. Look at the for each, and I'm just pointing, like copying and pasting my function here inside the for each. Later, what we said, I can convert this function expression to an arrow function. How do I do this? I omit the function keyword, first of all, and I put arrow here. Okay, it still works. And after this, since it is just one line, I can omit the curly braces as well. And this. Now what I do, I just take this and pass this into my for each, because for each is a method is taking a callback function. So what this function does, it takes an element and then it just console logs this. And each element is gonna come one by one because this is what for each does. For each, run this function simply. Since I already stored it in a variable, I can put any name here as well. It's same thing. Well, either I say any name or better to have this and get rid of this. Okay, now let's see what happens if I run that. I get 2, 3, 4. So for each element here, take it as an argument, elements one by one as an argument, and then log it to console. How does it look? Is it making life easier? Arrow functions? Any question here? Or if it is clear, please put a thumbs up again. Cool. What if you don't want to basically, like, let's put more elements, 5 and 6. You don't want to print out each element, but print only odd numbers. So in this case, what will be 3 and 5? So what I can do, I can use for each again, numbers dot for each. So for each is taking an argument as a x from the array one by one. You can call it any name, not x, by the way. If you want, you can say element. And what I want to do with element, I want to check if it is odd or not. So I put my curly braces for the function body, and then I hit enter because now I will do more stuff. So if element remainder 2 is not equal 0, then I will console log it. Console log elements, right? So here you can give if curly braces as well. Since it is one line, I didn't prefer it, but you can definitely do it. So numbers that for each element, check if the element is odd. If it is, then print the elements. So that's it. This will give us only the odd ones. So first we get all the elements, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, then just 3 and 5, because this one only gives us 3 and 5. Is it clear? Cool. Nice. And the second one, let's do another class. Or let's continue from here. Okay. Callback functions, array for each. And let's do array map. So array map callback function usually is used to manipulate each element in the array. So for example, if you have, let's do another array, const numbers 2 equals 10, 5, 3, 6. So I remember we asked a lot of questions in the past, and probably you get this as an interview question. They said, well, we give you this array, and we want you to return us all the elements multiplied by 3. So 30, and then 15, and then 6, and then 18. So what you used to do, can you do create a new array? Or can you use for I loop, assigning the same index back to the same, multiplying and assigning back to it? Yes. So for let I equal 0, I is less than numbers 2 dot length, and then I plus plus. So what you can do numbers to I equals numbers to I multiply by 3. So what I'm doing, I'm multiplying the element with 3, and I am reassigning back to the same index. What I can do, I can use shortcut as well and get rid of this one. So numbers I multiple equal 3. After this, if I console log my numbers to, we will see all the elements are multiplied by 3. Let's see. So yeah, it works. But is this a good approach? I don't think so. It's not. And also you can do, for example, you can create const new r equals first empty, and then you can do for of, like for each loop, for of const element of or number of numbers 2. You can multiply each element of numbers, which is number multiplied by 3. And what I want to do with numbers multiplied by 3, I want to push this to new r. New r dot push this. And after that, if I console log the new r, that will simply give me all the elements multiplied by 3, because I multiply them one by one with the 3 and I push it to new array. So let's see. So you guys see this one works as well. But is this also good? No. So 2 ways, for off loop, for I loop, create a new const, etc. Not good. I would use map. How do we use map? It's just this. So numbers to dot map. So you need to give here a callback function. What is that callback function? Again, first I want to show you here a function. If I were to give you a function, write a function that takes a number, multiplies it by 3, and returns it back. So what you will do was this. Function that takes a number, and then return a number multiplied by 3. Maybe you can give it a name, const any name again, equals this. So what we can do, I can omit the function and use the arrow. And since it is just one line, I can omit the curly braces as well. I can get rid of return keyword as well, since it is one line. So what I can do, I can provide this callback function or arrow function in the map. So map will just multiply each of this, run in this callback function, and will give it back as a new array. I can either store it in a container, const result, let's say, equals this. And if I console log my results, we will get all the elements multiplied by 3. And you see, guys, this works too. But if you want to just give this, I wouldn't create a container and use the container, simply put my callback into console log as well. So it would be just one line of code, actually. How does it look?
So can you please mention one more time what is the difference between map and for each? Because
for each, I mean, you can do this with for each too, because for each is doing it. But the thing with the for each, it is not returning anything. It just runs the function for each element. If you need to just multiply all of these elements with 3 and print it, you can use for each, because for each does not return anything, just performs the specified action for each element. But what map does, it returns the new array with each element manipulated with a function. That's the difference. Good
All right.
question. Ewan. Great question, honestly. Cool. Let's learn one more function, which is very, very cool. I kind of showed it yesterday a little bit. Filter, array filter callback function. So here, let me take a quick example. Well, okay, am I having any numbers? Let's just go with another numbers array. Let's say numbers 3. This time I have -5, 0, 5, 10, 23, -5. And my question is to find all the negative numbers. What are all the negative numbers? It's -5 and -10, is that right? So we are expecting to get this. So again, if I were first time learner, I would definitely use a new container, right? And then, for example, like new array equals empty. And then I will do for each const number of numbers 3. I will check if the number is less than 0, that means it's a negative. I want to push this into new array. Is that right? Do you think this will work if I print out my new array after this? What do you guys think? Is it gonna work or not?
Yes.
It's
Will
gonna
work, right? Because I create the empty one, I'm checking whenever is the number is less than 0, pushing it to new array. So definitely will work. Cool. But again, not preferred. Because there is a very beautiful, nice function that array gives us, which is filter. And I want to use this. How can I use it? Is this. Again, if I were to give you, well, create a function, any function, let's say, equals, well, that takes one argument, right? That takes one argument, number. And what it does, returns true if it is even, or sorry, if it is less than 0. So if number is less than 0, so return the number. But other than this, else don't do anything, basically. Simply this, right? I can do this. What I'm having here, an issue? Yeah, function, obviously. First function. Then what I can do, I can omit this, and I can put my curly braces. Otherwise, return nothing, right? So basically, don't return anything. Or let's say if number is less than 0, yeah, return the number. Otherwise, just skip this. Okay. So that's the function we will use. And I want to do filter with numbers 3 dot filter. What I am filtering, any number like x, I can call it any x, if x is less than 0. So true or false, simply. Does that make sense? What do you guys think?
Yes, it makes sense.
Yep, just your filter is x less than 0. And either I can store this in another container or simply put in a console log this and run this. So finally, I'm getting this. Usually the map filter are used a lot in JavaScript. Okay, keep that in mind. And now I want to show another function So when you use for each, if you need to just perform one task on an element, on each element, but it's not returning anything. When do you use map? If you need to perform a function on each element and you return a new array with the same size. So same size is the key here, okay? And when do you use filter? If you need to perform a task on each element, but at the end, you're going to return some of these elements, like negatives, like positives, even, odds, or if this was names or some strings, you could do strings that start with a, or string that has length of 5, etc. Those kind of tasks could be done with the filter. And you know, like when you use filter, right? You're given a bunch of data. You need to get some part of this data. That means you are filtering it out, right? And this one could be a bit complex. Reduce. So reduce is used mostly when you run a function on each element of the array, but at the end you return one value. So for example, what is that one value? For example, max in an array, or min in an array, or sum of the numbers, or product of the numbers. Like overall, you take a bunch of numbers and you return just one, right? Or if this was numbers, for example, longest string or shortest string, right? So if you are doing this kind of things, returning just one value at the end, reduce is going to be your go-to option. So let's do a const. Actually, I want to this time get a kind of string. Hopefully, I will get one. Okay. Const names. Let's do names like James, John, Jane, Max, and Jennifer. So the reason I give this, I want you to count how many names starts with J. So you can quickly see that 1, 2, 3, 4 names starts with J. So I'm expecting a 4. Can you do this with a regular loop? Yes, you will do let count starting from 0, and then for each const name of names. Oops. For each name of names, you will check if name 0, you can do start with as well. It's up to you. Name 0, triple equal J, and then your count plus plus. Is that right? Or count plus equal 1. You can do this as well, right? But mostly you use plus plus, I know that. And console.log, I will do just count. And with this, we should see a 4. Let's run. Before that, let's clear this. Yep, we got our 4. Very good. It works. Without any of these callback functions, you can survive, by the way. I'm just showing those as cool topics, okay? So you get a 4. Now I want to do this with a reduce. So reduce is gonna take 3 arguments. So I will do names.reduce. So in here, I should give 3, like basically first, my 2 arguments will be, one of them is count. That is what I am going to return at the end, or sum, or count, or whatever, longest string, shortest string, etc. Count, and this one is standing for current. Current is basically each element one by one. First, it will be James. Second, it will be John. Third, it will be Jane, and then Max, and then Jennifer. So for each of them. And then what I will do here, I will open this. I will check if name 0, or not name, my current, because here I said current 0 triple equal j. What I will do here, I will return. So what I did something wrong probably. If yes, that's one just extra.
Oh, can you just explain again why you put count and current in parentheses?
Sure, let's do one more time. So first of all, what I do with this, eventually I need to return just one count, right? And what I need to do with this count, I am going to play around this each time with a name. So name being starting with the J or something else, it's gonna decide my count, right? So that's why I'm going to take 2 arguments. One of them I can say like definitely my count, which will be affected. The other one is either current or I can say name too. Like this will work as well. So for each count and name, I am going to run a block of code, okay? And here, my count by default is starting from 0, right? And I can provide the 0 as the third argument right there. So you need to provide this. I highly recommend. Even if you don't do, if you don't do, it takes the first element to be the default. And here, James, assume that you put like James here, which doesn't make sense, okay? Always give your default. Here, I prefer default to be 0, okay? And after this, now I am going to update count depending on the name. So if name 0, we'll do triple equal j. If name 0 triple equal j, that means it starts with j. I should do what? Return my count plus 1. And else return just count itself, right? So if the name starts with j, I am increasing the count by 1 and returning the new count. Otherwise, I'm just returning the old count. So that's it. And what I can do, I can simply store this as a result. Const result equals this. And after this, I can console log my results. So this will do the same job as running a loop and doing the work. Well, you may say, I mean, this was even more work. I may agree or may not agree. There could be some cases this is going to make your life easier. Sometimes could make it harder too, but it is there and I just wanted to show. So 4 and 4 2 times, one is coming from here and the other one is coming from here. So just here, how can I do this better? I can convert this to a ternary operator. Let me show you. I will do this. If this return count plus 1, and otherwise just count, right? Return count. Or since I use ternary, I can omit this and I can put return just in front of everything. In this case, simply I can get rid of if else's. And now the good part, it just became one line. And when it is one line, what I can do, I can omit the curly braces and I can get rid of the return keyword and I can make it just one line. So that's it. Filter, or sorry, reduce could also be just one line for this case. But maybe you may like the previous version. It's up to you. Without reduce, you can survive. Here is the solution. But you know, using it is cool. You can definitely watch a couple more videos about this. I'm sure you will get it. You may need some time. But yeah, I just wanted to show at least one time so that you will be comfortable with it. And after for each map filter, I want to show you this find as well. I'm not I mean, maybe we can do an exercise. So find basically returns the first element in the provided array that satisfies a function, basically. For example, here we say there are a bunch of names. You want to find the first name that has 4 letters. Or yesterday we did first positive or first negative. So first name that has 4 letters, you can simply do this. Names.find name that has length of 4. Looks pretty good, right? Simple, easy. And let's do one example. All right, I will get an example. Here, no. Okay, here is my names. Did we use names? Yes. Let's do names too. I got some new names. And we'll do array find and find index callback functions. So if you have array like this, and if I ask you find first name that has A as a letter. So when you look at this, John is not matching with this, and Jane definitely does. Okay, we should see Jane as the first name. So what I can do, again, I can do first, or I can just quickly create one const, first name, and then loop through all my elements, names too, for name of names too. Here I should put const, okay, and should not be const because I will reassign it, right? Let first name. So if the name that includes A, whenever name includes an A, I will do my first name equals that name, and I should break my loop so that it's not going to check Alex, Jane, and Max. Otherwise, it will go all the way to Max and it will return Max. And I can do console log first name. Right? So all this code can help me to find the first name that has A. And you guys see Jane is there. But what I can do is names to dot find the name, like let's put name, and name that includes A. So yeah, this will give me the Jane. Whenever it finds the Jane, it won't look for the other elements. I don't need to break or do anything. I can simply do console log this, and it will also give me a Jane. And here we got another Jane. So let's run and see. Yep, that's it. And also, if you want to find the index of first name that has A, what is the index of that Jane? 0 and 1. Sometimes you want to find the name that has A, or sometimes I don't know where, but if you want to find the index of that name that has A, you can do find index, and it will work as well. Find and find index is there to help you to find first occurrence of something in the array. Could it be useful? Yes, it could definitely be useful. There are 2 more functions I want to cover before the break. Sum and every. This is close to find. One of them, so basically, let's say this. You have these numbers. It says check if some elements are even. That means if at least one element is even, it will return true, right? And do we have an even 0, 10, and negative 10 are even? So that's why it returns true. Otherwise, it would return false. And every checks if every element passed the test. That means like if all elements are positive, if you're looking for this, it will return false because all elements are not positive. So where you can use this, for example, let's say you read a bunch of element names or price tag for a lot of products. You want to check if there is at least a price or every price is more than 0, for example, you can use every, right? So let's do this. So here, I will do one more array, sum, and every callback functions. So const prices equals, well, 10.5 and 3.33 and just $5, 5.0 and 100 or 95, 99.99. There are a lot of prices ending with the 0.99, right? So here I want to check, let's say I fetch this data from a website, like considering to be prices. And I want to check if every price is more than 0. Check if every price is more than 0. Okay, what I can do this prices dot every. So I will take one of the arguments, like price. Every price is more than 0. So that's it. It will either return true or false. If I put it in the console log, I can either store it in a variable and print out the result later, or I can just right away do this. Do you expect a true or false? Is every price more than 0?
True.
Send it in the chat. Yeah, true. Nice, because every price is really more than 0. So let's run this part only, just this part. This time I didn't do with the loop. You can do this with the loop as well, obviously. So true, but let's check if every price is more than 100. Every price is more than 100. What do you guys think? What should we get? True or false? False, definitely. Actually, none of the prices more than 100, right? If I do every price less than 100, that will also be true, but none of them. Can I do same thing with sum? If some of the prices more than 0, is there any price more than 0? Sorry, more than 100? This is also false because there is none of the prices more than 100. But if I do in some prices more than 99, what do you think? Is this true or false? Some prices more than 99, just one of them, but one of them is enough to say true. So that's why this will be true. So let's run. We should see true, false, false, true. Yep, true, false, false, true. So any question regarding these 6, 7 callback functions? These are very useful. Without them, you can do any task using loop, for I loop, etc. For each loop, for off loop, you can use those loops. But definitely what it does, it makes life much easier with single line. You can do a lot of work. Okay.
I have a question regarding interview. If they will give us like to write these functions, they will prefer it to be a loop or it prefer to be this function?
Yeah, honestly, if you do this, they will be happy. But with the other one, they will be satisfied too. Because this looks cooler, right? Like shows a more
Yeah,
professional
it
way.
looks better. Mhm.
Yeah, if you can do this, I prefer this one, but you can do the regular way as well.
And when we do the round the numbers or like the floor the numbers or the seal the numbers, and it's gonna be like the million of the numbers, like we cannot check it like by our eyes.
It depends on the content. I don't know when you will be rounding or floating the numbers. It could be a test case if you work with a lot of, let's say, like Costco. Let's say you work for Costco, there are a bunch of product prices that you need to check, and they give prices like 23 point this, and they want you to kind of round this or seal this or truncate this. If they ask, your user stories is telling you to do this, then in this case, you can search and do it definitely. But at the moment, I don't really have a case that you need to round this, especially when it is prices. You should not round anything because no one will accept to pay 1 extra cent for each product, right? Or extra or less. It depends on the contents, basically. Okay, let's give a break. So the last thing that we can learn about the arrays, and which is useful because you need to sort arrays like for so many different interview questions to find the mean, to find the max, or alphabetically you need to sort maybe your elements. You can do this. Definitely array provides us a sort method, but there will be a problem with the numbers. When it is strings, it does a very good job. Sorting them alphabetically works very good. But when it is numbers, it does a mistake, and I would like to show you this, and then the possible fixing around. So let's go to VS Code. We can close this, we can close this one too. I will just create a new file, 16. Well, we'll call it sorting arrays.js. So let's create two arrays. Const are, let's do strings equal some strings, ABC, and then Alex, and then some maybe Chicago, and one more being, well, James. So a few names and city and a random ABC. If I would like to sort this, what do you think output will be? Can you tell me the first element? Let's do it together. ABC or Alex?
Alex.
Definitely Alex. Because in the ASCII, uppercases always comes first. So actually this ABC will be after Chicago. So Chicago, in this case, going to be the second because uppercases comes first. If you go to ASCII, let's see ASCII table one more time. So usually this one is good. So yeah, now we get it. You see digits are coming from 48 to 57, and uppercase are coming 6 to 5 to 90, and lower cases starting from 97 to 122, 123. So that's why the uppercase ones are always the first. So Alex and Chicago, then ABC, then James. So this will be the sorted strings. Let's do strings dot sort. And sort changes the original string, okay? Original array. It doesn't return a new one. That means this one will be reversed or sorted. So let's console log the strings one more time after sorting it, and let's see the output. So you guys see Alex, Chicago, ABC, and James the way we expected. The second thing we can sort is definitely numbers. Numbers are more important than honestly the strings, because there may not be too much reasons you may sort strings, but with numbers there could be a lot reason. You want to maybe order your prices in ascending order, or the number of students or IDs, etc., in ascending order or descending order, or salaries. Let's say salaries is a good example. Let's do like we have like few salaries, like 10,000 and 5,000, and just one guy is paid only 25, poor guy, and also we have 0. So I want to sort this. When you sort this, what will be your expectation? Let's say ascending order should be 0, and then 25, and then 5,000, and then finally 10,000. This is like ascending order, right? Ascending order. You want to see how much you're paying to your employees or something like this. And if we do the same thing with sort, salaries dot sort, and then console log my salaries, let's see what we get. Well, we get 0 and 10,000, and then 25, and then 5,000. So can someone tell me, what do you see here? I mean, obviously it is not the way we want. There is a problem, but what could be the problem? If you look at the first digits, you may understand 0, 1, 2, 5.
So it like taking first digit and it's sorting it by first digit, right?
Yes, it sorts it like a string. So it considers, when you use sort, even though these are numbers, it considers them as a string. So when you go back to ASCII, digits, in the digits, 0 comes first, then 1 comes, then 2 comes, then 5 comes. And the rest is not too important. Whenever you have like 2 digits starting with 1, then the second digit will be compared. But so basically, it considers them as a string. That's a problem. We don't want this. What we want to sort salaries based on a condition. So here I will give a comparison callback function, just like you see in the example. I will give num1, num2, arrow function, num1 minus num2. But minus here is not really doing it's not doing a subtraction. It compares them. If result of this is negative, it says this number should be first. Otherwise, put this second, etc. There is a logic behind it, which is not very easy to understand. But all I want you to think is just keep this in mind. You need to just give n1 and 2, considered to be 2 numbers to be compared, and you will do n1 negative n2. I don't know why they didn't fix this for a long time, but for now, this is the way you can sort numbers. Just keep this in mind if you need to sort it. And now if I do salaries, we will actually see this, hopefully. That's it. Yep, the first one is not working, but the second one definitely works. Okay, that's how you can sort the arrays. Just, you can always reference from this. Okay. Any question? So it was a problem, and this is the solution. So if there are no questions, we will start with a nice topic and last topic for this week. Objects. So objects are collection of properties. So you guys remember property from so many different things. Config.properties, especially most of you remember like browser equals Chrome. Or in your API request response, there were a lot of keys and values, or in the hash map collection that you use a lot of key and values. Each of those is known either as properties or entry. Entry is also another keyword used a lot. So they're at the same time variables, by the way. Like for example, here, name John, age 25, address Chicago. These are keys, these are values, and keys are also kind of variables. So property or entry is known as key value pair. Here, name John is a key value pair. Age 25 is a key value pair. Syntax, and then here is a one example. So all keys are converted to strings by default, except symbols, and it's not too important. All the keys are considered to be strings, name, age, address. Even if you start with something and give name of digits, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it comes as digit. And actually, when we do from the payloads, if I go to techglobaltraining.com, and if I go to backend testing, and if I open my network tab, so here, network, let's refresh. There should be one API call here for students. Yep, right there. And if I go to response, so here is my payload. And if I go to JSON viewer, right, on my JSON viewer, let's put this text and let's do viewer. Yeah, not too good, but let me show it in VS Code. Didn't like it. Const users equal this. And I can format this. Not doing it really good. So anyway, one object which has ID, one first name, tag, last name, global, email is this, date of birth is this, and then a second object, ID is this, and so on and so on. I will do this, really, I will spend time. So yeah, basically what I did is, from my payload, I get all the usernames, and we know that there are just 2 users, and it is 2 users makes an array of user, right? It's a collection. So that's why in the payload, we see one array, and in the array, we have 2 objects. And you guys see here, the representation of the keys is already provided in the double quotes, because all the keys are considered to be just strings. But the values could be anything, could be number, could be string. If there was a Boolean, it could be true, false as well. But this is it. I just wanted to show that all the keys considered as a string. Other than this, you can access the data using custom keys, not the indexes. In objects, there is no indexes. You cannot say this is index of 0, this is index of 1, this is index of 2, because with the nested objects, especially with the nested payloads, you will have very complex information. So that's why we do not have index accesses for the objects. And we can create an object using curly braces or new object, which is not preferred, honestly. Just like arrays, we will just be using curly braces. With arrays, it was square brackets, here curly braces. And it is common practice to declare objects with constant keyword as well. So that's what we will be doing. We can quickly create this one. Let's go and create one new file, 17 objects intro.js. Okay, let's create that const val class course, let's say. Class is a reserved keyword. So this course is having a name. So the course name is Cypress Automation with JS. If you have multiple key values, each key value should be separated with a comma. Name this. Participants are like 20. Is online, maybe a Boolean variable, is online, true. So I just create the course object. This is our course right now. Participants 20, Cypress Automation with JS is the name, and is online, true. If I would like to update any of this information, I can definitely do. But before that, let's log out our course, which will give us the whole information we have here, okay? So let's run. First, I want to clear my console, make a bit more space, and run. So I exactly see my information right there. If you want to specifically get the number of participants, what you need to do, guys? Can you help me with that?
Where's
Let
that
me just
participant?
Yep, and also Victoria, same?
yeah, I wanted to say the same. Console that
Yes.
participant.
Yeah, definitely. If you want to get 20, you can refer 20. I mean, you can consider that they are mapped to each other. You can get 20 by calling the participant. This is same as you're like kind of created a let participants equals 20. And whenever you call the participants, you get 20. But here, to be participants is something belong to course. And if you would like to access that, you need to first refer it with the course. So course dot you see is online, is name, is participants. Let's do is participants first. And I will do console log name dot participants, and we are expecting a 20 here. Let's see. Well, very good. You get 20. And let's do both others too. Course dot name, course dot is online. So this name is a long name. We'll do this. And this one is definitely true. So let's run. Oops, not go to definition. Yeah, 20 Cypress Automation with JS and true. Let's say I just want to update some information with this, or I want to add one more property first of all. Add in a new property. What could be the property, a new property with this? Let's say finished, right? So I can just do course dot is finished. For now, I will put it false because we still do the course. So that means I added one more property after is online. So if I console log my object course one more time, you will see that another property is added. So right here, the last one. In this case, now we get is finished false because this is how I added this. And if you want to remove an existing property, this is also possible. You will just use delete keyword. Delete course that is finished. I want to remove this. And after this, if I log out course one more time, it will be the last one. We will check. You see, is finished is removed. You can add or remove properties to an object. You can do that. And lastly, what we can do, we can update an existing property value, right? You cannot update the key, but you can update the value. Okay, what we want to update, let's say, actually we decided not to do online. We will do also in person this course. Let's say we'll do course that is online. From now on, it is true. Sorry, false. We will do not online, basically. And if I log out my course one more time, this true will be converted to false. Yep, you see, guys, it is false. So what we learned basically here, you can create an object with the key and value pairs. You can access all the values with their respective keys. And you can add a new property as a key and value pair. So this will be your key, this will be value. You can remove an existing one just using delete keyword. And also you can update an existing one to have another value than the existing one. Any question with this so far? Good, nice, cool. Let's see what is next. Well, we learned how to access. Oh, just one more key. I just used the most used dot notation, but actually you can do all of this with the bracket notation as well. So basically you can either do person.name the way I did, or you can do person square bracket name as well. So let's put, I want to have this one too. So here accessing object values, once again, instead of dot, you can use brackets and then single quote or double quote because it is string. You see, it is hard. That's why it's not preferred too much. But sometimes you have to use this, especially when you use loops with key and values. So this also works. You will see we are getting this 2 times. And you can also add a property using the square bracket notation as well. You can remove it also with the bracket notation, and also you can update it with the bracket notation as well. Let's do this one with the bracket notation. And I want to even give single quote, not, sorry, double quote, not single. So you will be seeing all the different syntax, okay? Not a big deal. We mostly use this, but if you see this, don't be surprised. Updating properties is the same. We have seen you can use both syntaxes. Adding properties, you can use both. Removing properties, just use delete, and you can use both. Presentations are pretty good. Hopefully, they are helping you. And finally, you can we can learn for in loop, because this is something we didn't have in the other languages. It's only in JavaScript, added recently, lately. You can use this to loop through your all the key and values, just like here. Let variable or const variable in person, you need to give person square bracket variable. So let's see this. So here we have course. For each const variable in course, I want to console log variable, sorry, not variable, course variable. So this variable comes as a participant first, name as a second, is online as a third. So we will see all the values one by one as Cypress automation with JS, 20 and true as the last 3 statements. Yep, Cypress automation with JS, 20 and false. Not a big deal, but yeah, for in loop is used with objects. Okay, So that's it. If you want to get both keys and values together, you can use for auth loop. For, let's say, const, I will put a kind of array syntax here, key value of course. For each key value of course, just English statement, for each for each key value of course, I just want to console log key comma value. And this comma puts a space, right? We have seen this before. Just a space between key and value. So, okay, for each key value of course, it's not, oh, course is not iterable. I should do course dot object dot entries course. Yep. I will show you this. I showed a bit early. That's why it could be confusing, but we will see it. Yeah, you can get each key value like name this, participant this, is online this, or you can use string templates to get a nice message, whatever you want. So $ this key is, and then $ curly braces value. And then our backticks here as well. Could be a better name is this, participant is this, is online is false. You can do this as well. And I will show you what this means. We will definitely see it in a bit. Let's see. Not a big deal, just you may not even loop your object, by the way. So property functions, let's see this. This is very important. It is used a lot in an object. So you can define a function for one of the keys as well. So one of the variable. So for example, here we have a first name John, last name Doe, age is 25, address is Chicago, and full name. It's like const full name equals function. Today we learn as a function expression. Full name equals a function that returns this dot full name. You know what this keyword is. It refers to the current object. So that means like person dot first name and person dot last name. And info, it's another function. Return this full name's age is this dot age and address is this. So basically when you call the full name, it says John Doe. When you call the info, it gives John Doe's age is this.
I have a question. So we can use this keyword or we can use person, like person first name, person last name, it's going to be the same, right?
Yeah, but in this content, since it is already in the same block, it is definitely preferred to be this.
Okay.
Yep. Cool. Any question about this? I will show in VS Code as well. But here, what I want you to understand, you can also define a function, just like we did with the function expression. You can define a function to be value of a key, simply this one. Okay, let's see it. So 18 object functions .js. Okay, so let me get a good example here. Yeah, actually I have the same example. Yeah, const person. Like this time we have a person. Let me take this out. So we have a person, a regular person. I should get rid of this comma. First name is John, last name is Doe, age is 25, and address is Chicago. If I console log this person, we will get simple information about John Doe. So first name, last name, and everything. But later I say, well, I want to call person dot full name. I want to have this this object to have a full name function. Okay, and this should give me John Doe, basically, right? What I can do, I can use my function expression, right? So if I were to write a function that takes first name, last name as an argument and returns it as the full name, I would do this, right? Function that takes first name and last name and returns first name, last name. And maybe a space between them will be appreciated. And that's it. What I can do, I'm not using a regular function. I'm not giving a name. I can give const full name equals this, right? So let's get rid of this for now. I can do this, and later I can use this console log full name. If I give Alex Smith, so this is my regular function, will work and give me Alex Smith. Well, Alex Smith is working fine. So what I want to do here, I want to do a full name. Full name equals a function. A function that returns. Here I don't even need to give like the arguments because they're coming from this, right? So full name, I'm not giving any argument, and I'm going to return this same thing, right? This two. So later what I can do, instead of this, I can use just backticks because I don't want to concatenate everything with this. Most of the people using new ES6 features, they like it a lot. So I want you to use those as well. So first name, space, another kind of $, curly braces, and another closing curly braces, and our backtick. So you see, full name is a function, and what it does, it returns this. Can I convert this to an arrow function? Get rid of this and provide an arrow here? Yeah, you can do this. In this case, since it is just one line, can I omit the curly braces and return keyword? Well, why not? So here, then I just put this. So full name is a arrow function. So you already have this example here. You can either use function expression or you can use the arrow function. And also let's do info. I want to get info of the person. And whenever I did the info, I want to see something very cool. By the way, I can use this to make sure it's not confused with something else. So this dot full name, first name, this dot last name. And info is also a function. I will use arrow again. It returns another backtick. I would like to say John Doe's age is 25 and city address is Chicago, right? I can do this. So here, first of all, I should get the full name. Either I can use the same thing here, or I can use the full name, right? So full name, my $, this full name, and we'll put this. Age is age using my expression, right? Age, and address is simply address. Okay, so that's it. Maybe full name here may require a parenthesis, as you guys can see. Otherwise, it will give just this whole thing as a definition. I should give definitely parenthesis, and I'm going to take the return version of this. So that's it. Info will also work. Let's do info and run these two functions. Two results I would like to see. I have one problem. Full name is not defined. So which line is throwing this? So this one. Do we have full name? Of course, this not full name. My bad. Okay, this dot full name is what I'm doing wrong here. If I do this, let's see. Still full name. Okay. This dot full name. No, I believe it should be just this dot full name with the parenthesis. Okay, full name. Let me clear. Maybe I did a mistake. Okay, full name function, info function. Okay. The reason for this, okay, let me not call the info and just do the full name. Let's see. All right, this one works. Oh, undefined, undefined. Okay, let's not do this one too. Okay, probably it is not working with the arrow function. Okay, let's quickly fix this with the regular function. I never did it with the arrow function anyway before. Should be function expression. So here, full name and this. Let's run. I'm still having a problem. Am I doing a, oh, N is uppercase, okay. I'm not. Okay, full name, oh, here. This should be case N. Yeah, finally we got it. It's just, there was a problem with the arrow function. It's not a big deal, and you will be kind of seeing this a bit more in the future classes. But overall, what I want you to understand, the function expression could be value of the key as well. It's that actually all I wanted to show is this. It's not a big deal. It's not a it's not too preferred in that sense. Just keeping this in mind and having it under your folder, the libraries in the presentation will be more than enough. Okay. Any question, but it might be a little bit confusing. If you have any question, let me know. Something new, right? Cool. So the last thing we can learn about the objects is going to be some pre-built functions. We will do them, keys, values, and entries. Actually, when you look at the person, let's take this example once again. There are 3 arrays here. So one of them is the array of keys, name, age, and address. The other one is the array of values, which is John, 25, and Chicago. And the third one will be a nested array of each entry, key and value, basically. First element will be name John, second element will be age 25, and third element will be address with the Chicago. So if you look at here, you will see that keys, you can get all the keys using object.keys function, and providing your object as an argument, and object.values and your object will give you all the values as an array, and also object.entries person will give you all the key value pairs as a separate array. So overall, you will get a nested array. So I would like to show this, the first thing. And secondly, I would like to show how you can iterate through those keys and values. Obviously, if you were able to get the keys, you can use for of loop, like you were doing with the regular array, right? For const key of keys, which is object.keys person, if you console log all the keys, you'll get name, age, and address one by one. And with the values, you will get values one by one using object.values person. And finally, I already showed this actually in the previous class. I didn't mean to show, but I did. Object.entries person will give you all the entries as a nested array. And for each const like array, pair array key value of entries, you can console log all the keys, values, the way you would like to compose your output, basically. Let's see this and then do a couple examples and finish the day. Here, I will go and create a new file, call in 19 object pre-built functions. Or let's simply call it actually object iterations. With there, we will be also covering these pre-built functions. So this time I would like to create a new object, a car object, for example. Can you give me a few features that car has, like your car, for example? It has a color, right? So for example, let's say you have a, well, red car.
Make,
I'm sorry?
make,
Make, model, definitely, you can do those. Let's say your make, I'm not too good with the colors. Okay, let's do a good one, BMW. And model could be what, X6, right? I believe they have X6. And also it should have a year, and year could be like let's say the newest one, 2023. So we have 3 string key value pairs and 1 year. If I were to, by the way, since this is just one variable, I am finish it with semicolon. Even though I don't put semicolon, nothing happens, but I prefer to finish my statement with a semicolon. So if I console log this object first, car, this will give me the whole information about the car as one object, which is expected. Let's put it here. If I would like to get one of these values, I would do like make, model, year, or whatever I want to get, car dot or car square bracket notation, providing the value, and I will get the information for that. Now, there are 3 things I can get from this. Like, what are these? All keys. And what else I can get? All values and all entries, basically, all key value pairs, let's say. So these are 3 separate arrays, honestly, because if you think of color, make, model, year, it is a collection of keys, right? And what is the best way to store this is definitely an array, like color, and then make, model, and definitely year. So same thing for these values. I'll just copy paste this and update it with the values. It's hard to work with all these single quotes, etc. But quickly we'll do red, BMW, and X6. Luckily, it is short. And 2023. And key value pairs will be different. So for each key value pair, I will get color red, make BMW, model XX, and year this. So that's why it will look like a nested array. So each key value pair will be their own nested arrays. So I can definitely go with that. And the first one will be color, and then comma, the red, and so on, simply. Once I print it, I may get it here, or let's put it because it may come difference. Okay, color red, and then here we'll put make being BMW. Okay, want to show the best way I can, and model is our model is X6, and finally the year. Last key and the last value for the year is 2023. So cool. So how can I get this separately? Well, I can create a const keys equals, I can use object dot. Here there will be a bunch of methods that are freeze, like define property. You can define properties using functions as well. You can freeze it. Freeze means after you freeze it, you cannot modify the object anymore. You cannot add or remove properties and so on. You can check if it is frozen or if it is sealed, etc. There are a bunch of methods. If we will need it in the future, we will learn them. But the most used ones are keys, values, and entries. So keys, car. We would like to get keys from the cars, and we are expecting this. Let's console log all the keys and see what we get. So first, you see all our object, and then keys as an array, definitely. It always returns an array. Returns the keys as an array. Okay. And later I can do what? I can use for of loop to iterate through all of those keys. And same thing, I can do const values equals, well, actually, since you already see keys that I did this, I can do values right away in a console log. Object dot values, and we'll put our object right there. And this one returns all the values as an array, and this array will be printed out. So we should see this array printed out. Let's see. Well, it works. And lastly, I will quickly do console log object dot entries, and inside the entries we will provide our object once again. And now I should see a nested array with all these key values. Let's see. Yep, definitely. Since it is long, it shows even in a better display, basically. It's good. And if I would like to iterate those, well, I can just take this, do for of loop, right? For const key of object dot keys car. So each key of the car, console log my key. So this will just print out color, make, model, year in a separate statement. And here you guys can see it. If I just take this and do the value for each value, object values of the car, print out the value. This will give us the values as the second. Okay, these are the values. And I can take the same thing, but for the entries, it is a bit different because each entry is a key value pair, right? You guys can see here. And there are two kind of variables, right? And I can provide same thing here. You can say key value or XY, it doesn't matter. X will be considered as the key and Y will be considered as the Y, because here you can see index of 0 is the key, index of 1 is the value. So X is key, Y is value. We can simply do X, Y. So that will be key and values. Yep, finally we got this. Any question with this methods and with these iterations for the object. Or if it is clear, please give a thumbs up. Great. Only 2, maybe more. Okay. Cool. Now, for the rest of the 30-40 minutes, I would like to give you some exercises so that you can understand this a bit better, because I want you to have a good understanding of object, and I would like to take your questions if you have any. So let's create a file called 20, and we'll do object-practice.js. So I will send you this object in the chat in a bit after I explain it. So here, it is a bit complex. It looks like a payload, again, API response. So you get a student, Alex Smith, and Alex has some hobbies, but Alex has multiple hobbies. That's why it is an array. You know, this could be you as well. So your value could be an array as well, could be a function as well, could be an object as well. Just like here, it is an object. So student has some exam scores, and these exam scores, there are 2. Midterm is 60 and final is 90. So can value be an object as well? Yes. Value could be string, could be a number, could be array, could be function, could be object. And this is a nested object, actually. An object nested with array and nested with object as well. This object could also have another array as a value too. So, you know, this is how your API responses most of the time comes. They are complex. So from this, if I just print out the student, well, we will just see the object, not much. Can someone tell me, if I would like to get watching movies, how can I get this?
Should be student, hobbies, and maybe first
Index of 1, right?
index of 1, yes. Mhm.
Great, definitely. So first, I'm going step by step. From students, I need to go to hobbies. So student.hobbies. And now this gives me an array. Let's check this, first of all. Run again. Well, student hobbies is giving me the whole value. But do I want the whole value or just the index of 1, maybe? Because when this is an array, this is 0, this is 1. If I do 1, I just get watching movies. Great. If you would like to get midterm and final, you know how to get it. Now I would like to give you a few examples. I mean, a task, basically. So I want you to print hobbies. Actually, we just did it. And print exam scores, just like this, midterm 60, final 90. And then I want you to print soccer. You will find it. And also I want you to find and print average of the exam scores, 60 and 90. You will find their sum 150 and divide by 2, 75. So let's see how you do this. I'm sending the whole thing in the Zoom chat. You can copy and paste it in a file and then work on the task. All right. So const student having a few keys and values, name, last name, hobbies, and exam scores. And we would like to print out the hobbies. Obviously, it is just student.hobbies. So console log student.hobbies. This will give us soccer and watching movies. Maybe these are my hobbies. And this is what you do, what you get. And also I would like to get exam scores, which is same. Instead of hobbies, I will just put exam scores. and I will get exam scores as an object. Even though it is an object, it is still value for that key. So accessing this is exactly same as accessing any other key. It doesn't matter. And the third one, I would like to get soccer. Okay, I will do this time hobby is 0, because after getting hobbies with the array as an array, soccer is going to be the index of 0. So we will just put hobby is 0. And that will give us soccer. All right, let's see these three. The fourth one could be just a little bit challenging, not too much. What I want to do here, I want to get midterm and final and their average. So quickly here, I will do student dot exam scores, and exam scores are objects. I cannot do index of 0, so it's not array, right? When it is another object, I will do exam scores dot midterm. And then I would like to do a plus here. I want to do same thing with the final. So here is our final. And what I want to do overall, after I find the sum, I would like to take this in a parenthesis, because if you don't do parenthesis, so division takes priority. First, it divides final to 2, then finds the sum with the midterm. You may get a wrong answer. Let me show console, or let's store it in a variable. So const exam average equals this, and then console log exam average. You could just do in a console log as well, obviously. I just wanted to do this. Okay, I get 105. What is the problem? Here, first 90 is divided by 2. It becomes 45. 45 plus 60 is 105. But I didn't mean this. I mean first find the sum. So give it a priority with a parenthesis, then divide it by 2. Now you should get your correct result, which is 75.
Can we use the average method or something?
Why you need an average methods? You can do, but it's simple to do this. I don't know if math has even an average methods. No, it does not. So you can create a function that takes 2 or more arguments, finds the sum. You will exactly do the same thing inside the function, and then you will use the function. So I don't see too much value creating a function for this. Maybe if you use a lot, maybe, but for this task, you don't need to. Okay. Any question? Are you comfortable with objects? How do you feel about them?
Compared to function, I feel better, to be honest.
Apart the object function?
Yeah. Function,
Yeah.
that is previous one. Mhm.
So actually, for example, I can do, let me show this one more time, since there is a confusion. So let's say I want to do student dot exam average, okay? And I will define this as an, since I use exam average here already, that might be, I will use it anyway. So let's say I want to create a function here, exam average, and I will do this one right away, not finding the result, but I will do a function, okay? And we'll do this function as this dot midterm plus this dot final, not first name, final, and then give them a priority with the parenthesis and divide it by 2. So this, whenever you call the exam average, it will quickly do this calculation, and it will give you the result. So in this case, you don't need this const anymore. What you can do, you can just call exam average, which is invoking this one. And what it does, whenever you invoke this, it takes the this dot midterm and this dot final and divides it by 2, and maybe we should return this rate. Don't forget to return because I didn't use a arrow function. So let's run again. So I get exam average. Did I give a different name? Okay. Of course, it should be now not exam average, student dot exam average, right? It belongs to student anymore. It wasn't just here, it was just a const. Now it is a student exam average. Not a number. Okay. So what problem we get here? This dot, again, my bad, exam scores dot midterm, this dot exam score dot final. Yeah, when you write the code once and then you try to convert it to another way. So I cannot right away refer it from the student, right? This dot exam scores dot midterm, I can do this. So basically I should go step by step. And finally, I can call my function with the students. So again, this time I get final from this. Okay, this dot exam score final. What is the problem? Cannot read properties of.
You added S or
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
add before after scores.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Small mistakes. And so you see the problem also. If it was a compiled language, it will show me a underline red here. So I would quickly see it. But here you should be very careful because it doesn't give you too much clues in the compiler. So you do small mistakes and then fix it. Obviously, it's a good comparison to see that. I'm glad that we did this mistake because anything you do here, you see it doesn't give you, oh, this is missing a S, or this was not declared before. This is something not defined. It doesn't give you any clue. It just continues. Then when you run, you see it. It's not defined simply. So, and it says cannot read properties, final. It gives the wrong, basically. You know, sometimes they give the wrong because exam score that final, actually the problem is exam score. It should be scores. So thanks, I get him. Good catch. Detail oriented. Being detail oriented is good. So 75, we got it. Vita, now it is a bit better, hopefully.
Yeah, it's better, but yep.
Sounds good. I would like to give you one more example, but since you cannot copy and paste, I don't want you to type all of this because it will be a long one.
Can you send it to WhatsApp? Oh, WhatsApp. Some. Okay.
Yeah, let's try one more time. Can you
But-
copy this? Let's try. Can you try?
Can you send it to WhatsApp? I just have WhatsApp in my computer. That's why it's easy. I don't know about the others.
Oh, let me do this. I know what to do. I will quickly push this and you can get it from GitHub. Edit objects. Right. So if you go to our GitHub account, I sent the link before. You can quickly navigate to this link and then you should get it. So basically, now it is a bit different. In the above example, we had an object that has an array as a value even, and nested also object as a value. But here I have few objects, and each object is a book. Some of my favorite books actually. So Stefan Zweig's Amok and Orhan Pamuk's My Name is Red, and George Orwell's 1984. 3 books basically. And each book has some properties, name, and author is a separate object nested in the book. Author also has a first name, last name. and they have their own genre as well. These are not too important. So basically you can read it. In the books, we have multiple books. Each book has name and author as a separate object. Now I want you to count the books where author first name has an A, basically. When we look at the first name, Stefan is good. We have an A here, so it should be counted as 1. And also Orhan is the second name that has A inside this. But George, he doesn't have any A. We should not count this. So the result of this should be 2. You can do this with the loop. You can do this with the reduce as well. So it's up to you. Let's do this as well and then finish it. You can survive. Let me also do it. So one way, using loop. So even though this is a huge array, including 3 objects, it doesn't matter. It is still an array, right? So what I can do, I can loop through each element. For const user, or actually book of books. So for each book that I am going to get from the books, what I want to get book.author.first name. Okay, I want to get book.author.first name. And what I want to do, if this first name includes an A or not. So in both of the cases, it has an A as a lowercase, but maybe it could be like Alex with A uppercase too. Since I just want to ignore the cases, I will just convert it to lowercase first. And then I will do, if it includes A, since I see all of you guys using includes, I will use index of. So if index of A is more than equal 0 or not equal -1, that means it exists, right? Index of returns -1 if it doesn't exist, returns either 0 or positive index when it exists. Just like includes. If you use includes, it is also okay, but I just want to remind you this one too. If you see it, don't be surprised. So what I want to do, I want to put this in a if. If this, I want to maybe create a counter and increase it. Let count A equals 0, and we'll do count A plus plus. And after my loop is done, I can console log count A basically. And you will see when first time Stefan comes, counter will be 1. Second time Orhan is going to come, counter will be 2. And the third one, George, is not going to be counted. And we will get a 3. So 2 by 3. So here we got a 2. Nice. Second way is filter. So what I want to do, I want to filter the books that has the author having first name, having an A in the first name. So I take this condition exactly here. I will do books dot filter the book that is basically index of A is not equal 0. So that is filter. It will filter out all these information. And what I want to do with this, it returns a new array only with the books that has the author first name has A. So const books author with A equals this. And I want to console log this. Console log books with author has A. So let's run. The last statement will be what we want, what we get. So you guys see, this is returning an array with 2 objects. One is Stefan, with the name having A inside it, and the second one is Orhan. Again, it is definitely passing this test. So instead of array, if I print out the array.length, so since there is 2 objects inside this array, it will just give me 2, right? Do you guys like it? This one, second option as well, filter. Yeah, maybe not. Well, honestly, it could be even better just doing everything in one line. So first I am filtering all the names that has A inside it, and then I put length at the end. That's it. I could just do everything in one line. I don't need like 3 lines. But it comes from there, simply. Okay? And the third one will be reduce. How can I do this with the reduce? I will do books.reduce. Reduce will take 2 arguments. One is like accumulator count. I will take it as a count, and we'll do book, current book. And then I will give my arrow function right there, the third argument here, my counter to start with 0. So first I build all my logic. There will be a counter each time there will be a book, and my count here starts from 0. You give your initial value as a third argument. Now I check the same condition. So what I have here, just have this if. So if book author blah blah return count +1, else return count itself. So after this book.reduce, it will give me a 2 basically. Either I can store this in a let or const results equals this, and then console log my results, which will give me another 2. Or I could just put all of this in a console log. Will give me 2 as well. So what I get, books is not defined at which line. So, oh, I cannot do this, right? I should run the whole thing. So my bad. Yep, I get another 2, because when I just highlight this and run, books in that highlighted code is not defined. So if I want to do this, at least I should go up to all the way up to books. I can do this. Books should be included. It's just a VS Code feature thing. So I get 3 times 2, 1 from here, 1 from here, 1 from here. As I said, instead of results, we could just take all of this in a console log as well. It is long, but yeah, it works. So at the end, now we should see 4 times 2 together with this. Okay? Any question? But yeah, if you did this, that means you get the logic. The rest is just a bit fantasy, basically. Okay.
Akın,
Yes.
in line 73, the end of the statement, 73, not 83,
Oh,
73, and we add lengths. Why we are adding lengths here?
Oh, because this one filters book objects that has the author with the letter A, and it returns it as an object back. And I don't want to, returns it as an array back. And I don't want to get an array. I just want to get the length of the array. And length of the array will be 2, because there are 2 books that has the author with letter A. So if I don't put length, let me show you. If I don't put length, it won't give me 2, but it will give me these 2 objects as an array. So it will give me all this. So 1, 2 object. And if I do dot length, it gives me 2 because there are only 2 objects with this.
Okay.
So one of them gives you 2 objects as an array. The other one is just gives the length of that array, which is 2. Right?
Okay, thank you.
Cool. Yeah, you can run it with length and without length. You will see the difference.
Okay.
Any other question? No? Cool.